Boop, boop. My head. You can see the bait maker a little bit better. All right. See what that looks like. You can see a little better, huh? So weird that it does this. I can move that way, I guess. All right. Good morning. Thank you for joining. We are going to make some spinners for this next show. So I hand paint baits. So, but I also love spinners because spinners catch everything, and you can't go wrong with a good spinner. So we got my rods right here, my shafts, and we've got some beautiful, beautiful blades that are painted. So we got beautiful blades. And if you guys have a suggestion, I will take it. One thing about trout, the most recognizable colors that trout see is blue. I know. You probably didn't know that. So we're going to make our first spinner. And this little contraption here makes great spinners, by the way. Yeah, Jen's Netcraft. So we're going to first slide on a beautiful chartreuse bead. And then we need clevises. We need a clevis. So since we're going with chartreuse, we're going to go with the gold clevis. And we're going to add that to our little blade. And then we're going to take this guy and put it through the clevis. And voila, the beginnings of a spinner. I know. Quite exciting, huh? For those that are easily thrilled. Put another bead on there. We got green, so we're going to go with this right here is a painted spacer, but it's also a weight. So we're going to add that onto it. And then we're going to add another chartreuse bead. So this, okay, so just so you guys know, this is extremely recognizable to a trout. So we're going to, the way this machine works is that you first use the shaft to bend, create a bend all the way around this, the wire. Take it off, you're going to put it back on it. And this right here, kind of a crimper. So we're going to crimp this. So we just lift it up and it crimps. We're going to do both sides of the wire. I know. These will be for sale on my show on the 25th. If you guys have color combinations that you want me to make, now you take the tag in and you're going to make a nice right angle. So now we're going to choose a hook. Typically, you kind of stay with the number 10 hook. Trout love small hooks. We're going to go with a red hook. Sort of gives sort of a color of blood in the water. A red hook does. It actually is pretty cool. So now we've got this thing looking like this. And we're going to just put it back. And the way you put it back is really important. Okay, is that this tag's got to be on the bottom and out. So when you put it back in this little machine, you're going to just snap it in there just like that. Now the magic happens on this machine. So get that hook out of the way. We're going to put down the clamp and we're going to wind it up. Try to get that hook out of the way. Sometimes they get in the way. So we're going to move that hook over there. And we're going to do about 3 or 4 wraps. And that makes a very tight wind on it. Really nice. Isn't that nice? That is our spinner. Cut the tag off. And voila. You got yourself a beautiful, beautiful spinner. I know. Each one of these spinners are unique. I mean, the paint jobs, the bead. I mean, every one of my baits are unique. I do hand paint hard baits. And so we're just going to put this in a little package. And this will be for sale on the 25th. I do have a YouTube channel called Terrible at Fishing. Okay. And for my members on my YouTube channel, let me do this. There we go. They get a coupon. So, still not there. I'll have to put this up here. Maybe right there. Maybe right here. Put my logo there. There you go. All right. They get a coupon for the auctions, just FYI. So, and I always want to make it worth their support. So we're going to go. Oh, I love the rainbow ones. See these? These are rainbow. So we're going to go with that. We're going to go with sort of a motor oil red bead on, to start this off. And it's kind of, this is a lot easier than actually airbrushing hard baits, which I have lots of airbrushed hard baits. Here's a craw. You'll see this one. That's all hand painted by me. So kind of fun. I got a bunch of them. I've been very, very busy with making baits for you guys. So we're going to take a gold clevis, put that on here on the blade, and I'm going to slide our shaft through the clevis, and voila! It's starting to look like a spinner now because now we got the blade on it. So now, because we're really going with the rainbow, we're going to go put a yellow bead on here, just like that. Let's see. We'll go with another red, and then we're going to put a spacer, a weighted spacer on it, which is yellow and gold. So there is our spinner. Woohoo! There's our spinner. So now, this handy dandy little machine, I know I call it a machine, but what a tool. It's a tool. But it does, you take it and you're going to wrap this around the shaft, just like that. So to press it down, pull it out, and you're going to put it back on it, just like that. And then we're going to crimp this little thing right here, crimps it, and we're going to basically bend that wire just slightly. Turn it over and do both sides, both wires. And we're going to do that. And now it sort of looks like a keyhole. See that? That's what it looks like. But we need to take the tag in. We need to make a 90-degree bend on it. You'll see in a second. Just like that. So now, this is the way this thing looks before we tie it up. But now we're going to take a red number 10 hook. You get more hooks. I have a hook box. We're going to take a number 10 red. Your eyesight's got to be good, and that's why I have glasses. So now it's sort of hanging there. Now putting it back on this little thing is important, the way you do it. Watch. The tag end is going to be facing out, and then on the bottom, we're just going to hook it and put it in this little machine, and it just snaps in there just like that. That's how it does it. Now, we're going to clamp it down and wind it 3 or 4 times. 1, 2, 3, 4, and whatever. And there we go. That will not come off. And now we've got a really nice wind on that wire. And voila. We snip off the tag end. And we've got ourselves a beautiful rainbow spinner. That'll catch fish. I always say that. I always say that. I'll put it in one of my little packages. Please bookmark me. Follow me. Bookmark me and follow me. And come the 25th, you can purchase these. And of course, I have hard baits too. That I have about 30 or 40 painted hard baits. I'll show you some. Let's grab this. Yeah. Ooh, yeah. I like this one. I like them all. So I do have a there's a hula popper. So this right here is a hula popper that is hand painted by me. And that's going to be, of course, for sale. This is a bluegill. It's beautiful, jointed bluegill. Very difficult to paint, by the way. Really difficult to paint. And so this is a topwater. This is a wake bait. So that's a wake bait. Really nice. I got tons of them. Lots. I love topwater. I love finesse. So a lot of baits that I do paint are finesse baits. They're usually about under a quarter ounce. That's not. The hula popper is. It's got a nice little rattle to it. Really nice. I like that. Added some really fun colors in there. It's gonna be fun. All right. Oh, you know what? I love this purple with the spots. I'm gonna do one of those. So let's do one of those. And we're going to start it off with a yellow bead. And because of that, we're going to go with the silver clovis. And we're going to just slide that little guy right in there. So now he's just on the clevis. So if you guys have a suggestion, you're welcome to just pop it in the chat, and you can see me make a color pattern that you like. Maybe works better in your waters. So now we've got yellow. We've got that. So what we're going to do next, we're going to go with a sort of I don't know what that, gunmetal right there. And then brass. Put a brass weight on there. And then finish it off with another yellow. I think that'll look good. What do you think? What do you think? What do you think? Interesting. I'm a fly guy, but I always like to learn things. Well, thanks, Dan. Actually, these are really easy. You get this little tool by Jans Netcraft, JANNS netcraft.com. It's called the tackle tool. This thing right here, I think it's like $35. It's not very much money at all. And it is just it just makes things easier. And for $35, by doing flies, that's a steal of a deal for a tool that can make baits for you. So we're going to take this now. We're going to use the shaft to bend our wire. And we use that for spinning up dubbing. Nice. I like this little tool a lot. So we just bend that wire around, and then now we're going to crimp it. And yeah, it's a great little tool. I looked at it, I was like, how can something so simple looking be so effective? And it is. So now basically you create, looks like a cotter pin on it, And now on the tag end, it's real important to make a 90-degree bend. That's real important to do. So now this is what it looks like. I know it looks weird, but we're going to pull out some red hooks here. Out of my hook box. I'm out of feathered hooks, so yeah. Jams tool. Yeah, it's I'll show you in a second. When we finish tying this, I'll hold it up so you can see the name of it. And so we just take this. It's important to put the tag end out and then on the bottom, because you'll see it snap right into the bender. So there it is. We're just going to take this and we'll just snap it right in. This little clamp goes down, and now 3 or 4 twists, and you make a very nice tight wind on it. Cut the tag end off. And now you've got yourself a very nice looking spinner. Really nice looking. So, all right, let me show you. This is, okay, so pull that out. That's it. So that's it. It's called the Tackle Tool by Jans Netcraft. And you can make spinners. Probably, it probably cost me about $1.25, of parts to make a spinner. Well, think about what you're going to pay for a spinner. $5 to $7 typically. And this spinner you just did for about $1.50. So this costs like $35, I think. I think that's what it runs. But it comes with a nice instruction manual, and it gives you some wire and some other really stuff. The instruction manual will teach you how to make more than just spinners. It'll teach you offset spinners, springs, all sorts of things. But that is a fun little bait. It's just, and you know, this stuff, actually, one of the auctioneers, I bought 300 of these on his auction. Nobody knew what they were. And I bought it for $3. 300 of these. Come on. Nobody knew what they were. And they just saw a bunch of wire. He didn't even know what they were. And when I bought it, I says, I'm making spinners. I just need to find somebody who doesn't know what a Colorado blade is. Just buy a bunch of those. Or beads, you know. I mean, actually, go to a jewelry auction, and a jewelry auction will have beads like crazy. And hey, single dad, good morning to you. So we're going to make, we got a blue one, right? Yeah. I want you guys to, probably didn't know this, but trout see blue better than any other color. They just do. It's like bass, they don't see blue. They have no blue cones. And so when I make baits, I try to see what the fish see and sort of cater to that. So we're going to slide this in through the clevis. Our spinner. And I'm going to add some yellow because it kind of goes with that particular. Good deal. Do you custom paint the blades too? I do. I do. I do custom paint. I mean, so it's to be every bait that I make is unique. Every bait. I can't paint the same thing the same way exactly every single time. So it's just the way it is. So the fish is guaranteed never to have seen exactly that. And I'm a bass fisherman, so typically a bass has incredible memory. So the bass will memorize that bait and will not hit it again. So the reason bass fishermen spend so much money on baits is because the bass get smart. So there we go. We got the red bead up on top, give it a little bit of color, and then the yellow chartreuse and green with the white spots, and a blue and yellow chartreuse bait or blade. So now we take this, we bend it. But yes, I custom paint a bunch of stuff. It's just fun for me. I'm retired and disabled, so I do this. And if you go to my YouTube channel, Terrible at Fishing, you'll see me do all this stuff. You'll see me catch fish too. I started the channel when I was paralyzed and I couldn't speak, and so I was really terrible at fishing. I couldn't hold anything. So we're going to bend that. I kind of made it pretty small, so. And then we're going to put a nice thing about a red hook. It sort of gives it this particular spinner, we got red on top and a red hook on the bottom. So it's got sort of an image of blood. So we're going to just put this baby on here, back on, and we're going to wind it up. And that probably only have room for 3 or 4 winds. Sometimes that hook gets in the way, but It'll come on, little hook. There we go. And there we go. And we got our nice little wine. And that's what that machine does. It just makes it so much easier. So the cut the tag end off, and we have ourselves a really cool little, look at that. And then with the red hook on it, and then with that chartreuse blue blade, again, trout sea blue best. I know you probably didn't know that, but scientists, they figured out what cones certain fish have. Bass do not see blue. They don't have blue cones. So, voila. So, if you go to my channel right here, Terrible at Fishing on YouTube, and become a member for $4.99 a month, you get my Terrible at Fishing magazine, which I write and co-write, and then a coupon for my auctions, and among other things. I'm still working on it. Just monetized. So, but I want everybody to feel like they got more than they are putting in. So you're always going to get. I'm going to give you really good value because, again, I do this on, I just do this for fun. So we're going to go with another rainbow because I really love the rainbow blade. I just got back from OBX, caught sea trout on a Clouser minnow with red paint pen in the middle to look injured. Yeah. Used a slow erratic retrieve and killed it. Yeah, Stamp. Let me see what I got. So I got craws over here. So this is a craw I just painted. It's almost ready to be fitted. It takes a while for the clear coat to cure because I use a 2-part epoxy. So this one right here, I painted 4 of these. These will be on the auction. Beautiful, beautiful. Look at the back. See that? I mean, when I mix this color, that's sort of a purplish hue, but in my clear coats too. You notice the sparkles? Those are color shifting pigments. And in my clear coat, I use a color shifting. Thank you, Colpin. Thank you very much. Appreciate it. I use this PPG color shift, and it shifts in all colors. So when the light hits this, and this thing is just shaking in the water, these colors look like reflections of scales, except more brilliant because it's just it changes color. So it is just a beautiful, beautiful bait. I really like them. Really like it. I mean, it's just, but when you, and Stamp will tell you this, when you catch something, I do, where's my stickers? Oh, they're hiding under my computer here. Everybody that buys one of my baits gets this. This is a Terrible at Fishing sticker. Because everybody needs a Terrible at Fishing sticker on their tackle box. Now my truck, I have a Dodge Ram, has these things are plastered on it, but 2 very large window stickers. They're see-through window stickers on my back window, and people always say, "What?" They go, "Why do you say you're terrible at fishing?" I go, "Because I used to be really bad. I mean, I was paralyzed. I couldn't even hold a rod, and I couldn't talk." So when I formed the channel, when I made the channel, I did it as therapy. And but yeah, I do have this sticker right here. Terrible at Fishing is all over my truck. And I see people taking pictures of it in traffic. They see it parked at the lake. Oh, everybody at Lake of the Woods, look at that. That's so pretty. At Lake of the Woods knows me. So I live here in Klamath Falls, Oregon, and I'm the lake expert at Lake of the Woods. And it's yeah, we'll go with yellow. Stick with the yellow. And I do the fishing events there, and I teach fishing at Lake of the Woods. And my baits are sold in the store there. So there is a retail outlet that I have to keep up with on reorders. We sell about 1,000 baits a year in that store. Excuse me. So that's this. So we got red, chartreuse, yellow spacer, and then the red, and with a rainbow blade. It's nice. It's pretty. Oh, you're in Caldwell. Nice. Do you have any that advertise your web page? No. I don't have a web page. I used to. It was so hard for me to keep up with those. And I paint, I mean, it takes 4 days to do a bait. 4 days. So when I sold online, people would buy. It took too much. And so Whatnot, I can space it out every 2 weeks or so, and gives me a little breathing room to paint and make baits. But when the season kicks in, the season is going to kick in when the water warms up for bass, and that'll happen in July. Then I'm really working hard. But that only lasts for about 3 months, and then it's ice fishing season, and we do have great ice fishing here. So that's what we look for right there. I'm going to add a red hook without hooking myself, which doesn't always happen. If you're not bleeding, you're not fishing. So we're going to take this red hook. I ran out of my feathered ones. So. But now you put this on here, this little machine. There we go. And we're going to pop that in there like that. Clamp it and twist 3 or 4 times. And voila. We have a spinner. I know it. It's nice to have a little tool like that. But this one right here, there's not another one I made with this exact color combination. So it's that's the neat thing about them. I mean, you can buy MEPS, you can buy a Bumblebee or whatever, and rooster tails or whatever, but fish do have memories. And so this one right here, it's never seen, a bait that looks exactly like that. And you're going to fool them. And that's the beautiful thing. That's the beautiful thing. I love Black Rifle coffee. I think this one's Gunship. It's a medium roast. Good coffee is worth every penny. Love good coffee. So, I want you guys to check out my YouTube channel. I want you to follow me and bookmark my 25th show, because we got some fantastic baits that I will be offering on the 25th show. Almost all of them I made. Then I'm going to throw in some other stuff just to see what that does. I love swim baits. I like big baits too. So I'm kind of bipolar when it comes to my baits. I'll make uh, grab these little itty bitty guys, you know. So this is a wake bait, 0.2 ounces. Beautiful, 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 beautiful bait. This is a trout jerk bait, really tiny, not even 0.2 ounces. But you can see that color in the sparkles. Look at that. This is a color shifting paint, by the way. Really, really nice. These are all hand painted, of course. I mean, they're still curing. They're almost. I'll fit these today. Thank you. Stamp. And the spinners always work. They just always work. So, but this right here, this smallmouth will eat this up. And trout and smallies will eat this baby up. I just have such a good time with this stuff. Like I said, there's nothing better. Stamp, you'll know, there's nothing better than catching a fish on something you create. Oh yeah. I mean, yeah, um uh if you want, if you it's fun. And when I'm on Lake of the Woods, everybody knows my boat. Everybody knows me. I mean, I'm a kind of fixture here in Klamath Falls. I'll go to the store and people say, "Oh, you're terrible at fishing." People come up to me on my boat. "You're terrible at fishing. Are you terrible at fishing?" And I go, "Yeah, I'm terrible at fishing." And if there's children at the lake, I will always stop by and I'll make sure that they're catching stuff. I remember this one little boy. He was in a pedal boat. You know, his family has a house on the lake. And when I was in my kayak and I get up to him, he was crying. This little boy was crying. And I go, "What's going on?" And he goes, "I'm not catching anything." He was a little boy. He's like 8 years old. And I know his parents probably, who's that old guy talking to my boy in the boat? So I grabbed his line and I set up a jig on it because, we got tons of yellow perch in the lake. I put some bait on it. And I says, "Now drop it down to the bottom." I go and lift it up just about a foot. And little guy dropped it down to the bottom and caught himself a yellow perch. And I paddled over to his parents and I says, "My name is Mike. I work for Lake of the Woods." I go, "Your boy was having trouble catching fish." I go, "We got a fish on line for him." And they were real happy. And I will always make sure the kids at the lake are catching fish. Let me grab this. I'm going to order more of these because this is sick. Our water at Lake of the Woods gets 78 degrees in August, so it's really warm. The top water's fantastic. And another story of another little boy getting in a boat at a dock at a ramp with his parents. And I asked him, what are you using? And he shows me. So I show him what I call a whopper plopper popper. Oh, there it is. It's a whopper plopper popper. It's got a pop in front. It's a whopper plopper. It's really small. So I took it off my line because I was using it. I was catching smallies like crazy. And I popped it on his line, and his parents were watching me, and I knew that there was a good spot by the dock. I says, "Throw it." He was at the end of the dock. I told him to throw it towards the shore by those bushes, and he throws it, and I teach him how to retrieve it in. Second cast, bam, smallmouth breaks surface and hits that bait, and he pulls in a smallie, and his parents are like, "Wow." That is what I do. I love seeing that. June 1st is our children's event. Best day of the year. You got any beetle spins? I don't. Again, I don't deal with a lot of spinners. Most of the baits I deal with are hard baits, but they're finesse. I mean, I do very small finesse baits. Not too many people paint small hard baits. Um, my number one rod that I use is a Cajun Custom 7.5 foot light rod, a trigger. And then on that rod, I have a Shimano Aldebaran BFS. There's Shimano Curado BFS on the wall there, but it's been replaced by the Aldebaran. I mean, it's an Aldebaran. It is the standard of all BFS in bait casting. I mean, everything compares itself to the Aldebaran. Very expensive, but worth every penny. Worth every penny. But that's really my main rod, and I will throw big swim baits on heavy rods. To be honest, it's hard to use my medium light and my mediums rods. They're on the boat, but if I want to throw a chatterbait or something like that, I'll throw one of those. But there's nothing better than catching a 5 to 10 pound bass on an ultralight setup. It's just nothing better. I mean, you've got to play that thing, and nothing better than a 5 pound smallmouth. Smallmouths are fighters, unlike any other fish. And I'll play a smallmouth for 15, 20 minutes on my ultralight because I'm using 4 pound test. I use a P-line fluorocarbon tactical, and just the best line. I mean, it's hard, it keeps a good knot, totally invisible in the water. By the way, fluorocarbon, it has the same refractive qualities as water. So if you ever want a completely invisible line, you're going to go with fluorocarbon in the water. If you use braid, use a fluoro lead. I'm going to go with a green. And this has sort of a metallic specks in it, so it actually has a good sparkle. Again, green is a shade of blue, and the number one color that is most recognized by trout is blue. So if you stay within the spectrum of blue, you will have a more visible bait in the water for trout. On the other hand, bass have no blue cones. They don't see blue at all. They see blue as silver. So that's what I mean. Bass see blue as silver. So I mean, it's not bad. It's not. You could throw a blue bait, and I do because it's beautiful. Catches fishermen. We're going to put a brass spacer weight on there. So there we go. This is our spinner for this one. Again, I've never made one just like this. So you will get, when you buy my spinners, you will get a unique bait. There'll be another one like it in the water. And that is really what you want to do, especially for bass. Trout are stupid. Trout will hit anything that's pretty that swims by their face. Trout are dumb. Now, that's rainbow trout. German browns, on the other hand, they're huge. In our lake, German browns get to 30 inches. You can imagine catching that thing. I caught a 27-inch in one of the videos on my YouTube channel. And it was, well, I was pretty excited to land that guy. I didn't know what he had. He hit one of my bass lures, and which is fine. One I made. When I got back to the marina, everybody bought my lures. When I showed them the picture of the German brown. What a great way to sell a lure, right? Is catch a lake record. It's just a matter of presenting. I try to teach people it's not what you throw as much as it is in presentation to the fish. So, in presenting whatever you throw to a fish, is you got to present it in a way that's appealing to them. I can be fishing right next to somebody. We're using the exact same thing, and I'm pulling them in like crazy, and that person doesn't. Yeah, it is. It is IFG or fish. I don't know, IFG. And there's a good video in my Not Anymore playlist that I throw a chatterbait, and it's on presentation. Yeah, a hungry fish is going to eat, but they want it presented to them at the depth and at the speed, or even at the stall that they want, because fish are opportunists. So that's a fun one. Look at that. Fish are opportunists, and they want to catch it on the stall, on the drop. Most fish like to hit up, attack up. And so now some fish don't, some fish like to hit down. So when you fish, you got to think, okay, what am I fishing for? What does that fish like to do? Hey, buddy. It's big. Well, we're making spinners right now for the 25th show. So please bookmark the show. And you'll see a lot of other stuff. You'll see this bait on the 25th show that I made 4 of these. Great crawl, beautiful color. Oh my goodness. But yeah, there's one video I didn't, without editing. Now, normally when you watch YouTube videos, people edit and you get to see the hit, stuff like that. But this was only 7 minutes long. Hey, Timmy. It's only 7 minutes long, and I throw the chatterbait out there, and you burn it through. So okay, nothing. You throw it out again, let it drop a little bit, go a little slower. Nothing. So on the third cast, I think it's the third cast, I threw it out there. I let it drop almost to the bottom, and then sort of pull it. Just activate the chatter real slow, pull it in, and all of a sudden, bam! A largemouth hits it. It's not. Again, we could throw the exact same thing out on the lake. We could be working the exact same spot, and I will be just pulling them in. And the guy next to me is doing the same. He thinks he's doing the same thing, but he's not. He's not letting it drop. He's not pulling it up and dropping it and activating it, going really slow. Once you learn the technique of that bait, and I always tell people, when you throw a bait, you throw it in front of you, and you just see what it can do. What happens when you pull on it, tug on it, when you pause it, and then with the speed that activates the actual bait. Because some baits are much slower, like this little guy right here. This one will hurt you, pulling it in so slow. I mean, you're doing this. It's like 2 seconds per rotation. That's what you're doing on this bait. This one hurts you. But it activates on a very slow retrieve. So I'll throw it out there and pull it in and let it dive to its 3 or 4 feet. And then just pull it in really, really slow. And then I'll put a little tug on it, let it stop, then do it again. And this little guy right here, the way you play this bait is much different than this guy. This guy's a fast bait. This one's going to burn through the water faster than this guy. So baits are temperamental. They're designed to go certain speeds, and I love doing that with baits. And then when I teach people, especially a topwater bait, see the two topwater baits that are easy is the wake bait. You're just going to pull it until you get a nice V, and that's where you stop. And you can pop it and get a little splash on it, but you just pull it until it gets a nice V. On a whopper plopper, this one is kind of a messy paint job, so I use it, but fish can't tell. This is mine. kind of messy on that. But whopper ploppers, all you do is activate the spinner. Get that spinner to putter along. And that's what it sounds like. This one's also got a pop in front. So you can pop it and then activate the spinner. And boom. Once you get the speed down, I took 4 kids out on kayaks on Lake of the Woods. I gave them all whopper ploppers. Because it's easy to teach somebody how to use a whopper plopper. What's for personal best bass? It's going to be a square bill. Or you're going to laugh at this one. This is mine. These are expensive. Very expensive. That is a 7.5-inch wake bait, double jointed, with Gamakatsu 1/0 on it. And this one right here it's a killer. All right. I will be making more of these, but not for this month. This will be late next month. You'll see some of my big swim baits because, one, I need to get paid by Whatnot. They're very slow on paying. But this guy right here, I will throw it out there and I'll just work it, and then boom, a big beast. You can even troll with this as long as you're going like less than a mile an hour. Really slow troll. This thing is so beautiful in the water. This will splash. This neat tail, and you can tell it's been bit more than once. This neat tail it just causes this to have this great swim action. It is when warm water hits, guys, this thing is just a killer. This will catch a PB. Okay, because to be honest, this guy right here is 7.5 inches. A small bass isn't hitting. You might get a 1-pounder on it, but for the most part, you're going to work 2 pounds on up on this bait, and so you're going to get some fantastic. There's another bait which I have in my tackle box outside in my truck. It is a big shad, and the eyes actually swivel, and it's a slow sinking glide. Another really good bait. So those 2 baits I will be painting next month. So late next month, those big glides will be available, and they'll be really good. Really, that's a PB bait right there. That's a PB bait. These other ones, okay, you're going to catch maybe a half a dozen fish on this one in a day. But, on this one, you'll catch about 40 fish. They're just not going to be really, really big. It's not a PB bait. That's a PB bait. No, this one right here is topwater. This is a wake bait. This one stays on top of the water. This is a topwater bait. And I throw this right over a bunch of cover. Big logs, big trees, something like that. I'll throw it in the middle of it as close to shore as I can. And I start pulling it, throwing it, and it's got this beautiful wake on it. It splashes. And this is my favorite bait to use. This is my favorite bait because I want to catch I'm always looking for a PB, but my favorite design is a wake bait. I love wake baits. And so you will see This little guy right here, this is a wake bait, just a little guy. I'm throwing this for smallmouths, and the smallies are hitting this thing like crazy. So, see, and now that the epoxy is dry, I got to clean out the hook eyes and fit this up and package it. But these guys right here, I will use my Aldebaran, my BFS setup, and I'll be throwing this like crazy, and I'll catch 50, 60, 70 fish in a day on that. That is it. That is a 50 fish a day bait. I know that sounds weird, but I know my lake really, really well. That's why people come up to me. What are you catching? What are you throwing? Where are you going? And I tell them, it's no secret. My lake is small. It's 3 miles by 1 mile. I mean, there's not even any coves. If I was to improve my lake anyway, I wish it had little fingers, coves, hidden coves, but it doesn't. It's basically a 3-leaf clover is what my lake is. But it has 9 different species. You can catch catfish. You can catch German browns. You can catch salmon. It's got kokanee salmon, a sockeye salmon. They got everything in that lake. So, so the lake itself is just really good. You know what? I do have. See, you on my not so perfect baits, I'll make keychains. Yeah, landlocked. Kokanee is just another word for landlocked. So there's a lake not far up from us, Fish Lake. They landlock their Chinook salmons. They don't grow real big. You're looking at a salmon at about 12 to 16 inches. But they stock that with Chinook, and then we stock ours with every 5 years with sockeyes. Now, our sockeye salmons, our limit, because there's so many of them, is 25 per fisherman. No. In the summer, you gotta have a downrigger in the summer. In October, they spawn right at the main ramp. It's beautiful. There's some video on my YouTube channel of that too, and it's just beautiful because you'll see hundreds of these salmon. You can just walk out there and use your feet to kick them aside. There's so many of them. That's why the limit's 25 each. But most people come to our lake and they think it's a trout lake, and we stock trout. We've got 1,000 coming next week. Freshwater shrimp or cannibals? Well, we do have crawdads in the lake and a lot of yellow perches, but which are they're all the fish are cannibals. But the number one, the 2 fish that breed naturally in the lake are bass, smallies and largemouth, and the perch. And when those fingerlings come up, it's feeding season for the fish. The smallies and the largemouths is the number one fish in the lake. So when it comes to, not aside from yellow perch. Yeah, well, a lot of live targets. You got it. And that's why small baits work so good in our lake. We go finesse. If you go finesse, you will catch 50. I'll be at the south end working the lily pads, but just outside the lily pads is just a ton of small fish. I'm working. I'll throw some soft plastics on the lily pads, and in the summer the lily pads are blowing up without anybody out there. You can just walk. You can just take your boat down there and look at the lily pads, and fish are breaking surface left and right. And so as soon as it's throwing a soft plastic, it takes technique. But once you throw it in there, as soon as it hits, it explodes. It's like throwing a little grenade on the lily pad, and then it just explodes with a big largemouth. Your instinct is to set that hook immediately, but you have to take a breath. I teach people when you throw a soft plastic, as soon as you see the blow up, take a breath, then set the hook, and let them dive with it, and then set that hook really good. In where the Lakers fed on Lakers, yeah, caught a 48-inch P. Oh my gosh! What about the lily pads on the 140 end? Oh, the 140 end, terrible typically. You don't usually fish those. The north end of our lake, Timmy, is not very good unless you're over by the Boy Scout camp. And I will catch some 2-pounders over in those lily pads when they're hitting. Typically, your best lily pads are going to be the very southern end or over in Rainbow Bay. Those two lily pad areas usually produce. You're going to get some. You can catch some 3 or 4-pounders over in Rainbow Bay, but down at the southern end of the lake is really where the beasts are. That's Rainbow Creek is coming into that, feeding it some fresh water, and you can, and especially in the winters we've had lately, the Rainbow Creek up down there. Actually, you might even catch some brook trout down there. So, really good. So. But yeah, lily pad fishing in California, we didn't have lily pads. I don't have lily pads in California. I don't know why, but we don't. So I was raised in California, and when I come up here, and I just go, finally, lily pads. And then I was pulling the bait out of the fish's mouth every single time. I will tell you, this is really cool. I bought one of these. Actually, I have several, but if you've never ever used one of these, they're kind of very frustrating, but this is a Lunker Hunt Spider. This is the coolest bait to walk on the surface of the water because it looks like a real spider. This one right here, or any of them, you just get all of them because they're just the coolest bait. You want to freak somebody out, cast it over by a swimmer. But the problem with this bait is that at first it works really, 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 really well. And then it starts taking on water. So every 3 casts, you're always squeezing it out. So as beautiful as it is, as great as it is in effectiveness, it is a short-lived bait. It is a short-lived bait, but you got to fish it. You just got to fish it. The 8 legs just creates a really good disruption on the water. This is a sick bait. I mean, it works. I mean, but it is a short-lived bait, but it's worth fishing and catching fish on it all the time. Ever have luck throwing a mouse? Anything topwater is going to work. Yeah, anything topwater is going to work. When the water's 70 plus degrees, and where typically it's 75 degrees surface temperature in July and August, Lake of the Woods, you can catch. I mean, you can throw a brick out, a piece of wood, a wood block out there, and probably catch a fish. It's not hard. That's why I teach people in the summer topwater fishing, because an idiot can catch a topwater fish. Once you got the retrieve speed down, it's so easy to catch topwater. I love that. And it's cool because, you get to see the bite from beginning to end. You don't get to see that with other fish. Typically, you're throwing it down there, you're letting it sink, you're playing the bottom. You might be doing drop shotting or something like that, even chatterbait or even a weedless. Those are all things that it's completely invisible, and in your mind, you're visualizing what the hook is doing in order to present the bait properly to the fish. And that's why you always fish in front of you first with something new. You look at the bait, you look at the plastic to see what it's doing. And then when it's out of sight, out of mind, or out of sight, it's in mind, and you're actually working presentation on to the fish. And that's real important. If you don't present this bait properly to the fish, doesn't matter. Or this guy right here. I mean, it's just you got to swim it right. But once you swim it right, And the nice thing about wake baits, there's so much cover on a certain area of lakes. There's so much debris underneath there that when you run a bait above it, the bass will just come out of cover and explode on this bait. And you're fishing, and it's really hard too, because what they'll do is dive. So now you've got all those trees underneath, and now the fish is diving. You can't let him do that. You just can't let him do that, or else you're going to lose everything. HM, do they run for the big ones? Do they? Yeah, I mean, absolutely. When you top water bait like this in lily pads, after you set the hook, the idea is to not only set the hook after a breath, takes about a second. They'll dive, you set the hook, but you can't let them dive and run in lily pads, or else you're going to pull up 10 pounds of weeds with, and I've done that. And you're going to use some pretty thick line. You know, typically I use a 30-pound braid when I do lily pad fishing. And you don't need a leader, all right? You just don't need a leader on lily pad fishing because the line's above the water, so you really don't need it to be invisible. They're focused on the bait, and they're not looking at the line. Now, you will put a fluoro leader on things underwater, but on top of the water, I don't use a leader, and I have great success. So I tied braid directly to my soft plastics, but don't let them dive. Okay, as soon as you set the hook, pull them up onto the top of the surface and surf them. Try to surf them, on top of the lily pads, or else you'll just be pulling off the salad trying to find this fish that's hooked up. And I've done that. I've pulled off like 3 pounds of salad before I found the meat. When you're topwater fishing, is just. And I know my channel's called Terrible at Fishing, guys, and I was terrible at fishing, but now the channel is designed to teach people who are terrible at fishing, and then we share bad days. So go to my YouTube channel and check all these things out. I teach fishing. I teach fishing, and I do this. I probably teach about 1,000 people a year how to fish. I am a best-selling author. My book on Terrible at Fishing Instruction Manual is a best-selling book. I'm on the pro staff of Cajun Custom Rods too. So I use pretty much all Cajun rods. They're American-made, handmade carbon fiber rods that are fantastic. Thanks, Timmy. Timmy's got my book. By the way, when you buy stuff from me, you will get surprises in the bag. You will. How do we get to where you're at? Practice, practice, practice. I talk to locals, and there are fantastic trout fishermen, fantastic salmon fishermen, so much better than me, and better bass fishermen. And I just ask them. And fishermen are pretty liberal with advice. They're not always liberal with their spots, but they will give you advice. And I just and then own a lake. Wherever you live, pick the closest fishing spot to you and own it. Go again and again and again and understand that fishing hole. How do you go about getting sponsored? I've been sponsored by many companies that I've been disappointed in. So typically, when you pick the company, I don't care if a company comes to you and says we want to sponsor you. Make sure that you love that company. I dropped a lot of companies. The biggest being Cast King. Cast King sponsored me, and as I went through their product lineup, they take care, Timmy. they sucked. Their lines are terrible. And so I had to, in my reviews, I was honest, and we parted ways. And then another company, Dark Horse Tackle, they used to be all American made stuff. When they stopped being all American made, I broke away from Dark Horse. Cajun is the only company I represent now. Fantastic company, great rods, great customer service, really good customer service. To me is the best. One of the most important things besides quality of product, do they take care of you if something happens? And they do. So if somebody approaches you and offers you free product to carry their name, be wary. Be wary. Don't say yes, not right away. If they want you, they will pursue you. Just don't say yes, not right away. It's nice to get free product, but it's not worth it if you're selling something that's substandard to your viewers. Don't do it. You'll lose viewers and respect. And in our industry, respect is probably the most important thing. And you cannot, you want credibility. That's why my book is the #1 seller, because it has credibility behind it. My baits sell well because it has credibility. So don't say yes to sponsors. Be very, 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 very picky. Cajun, I own a half a dozen of their rods. How can I not love them? And I've had people break my rod. I had one guy I took out fishing. He snapped my rod in two because he drove me nuts. He didn't even apologize, but Cajun took care of me. And I've broken a rod. They took care of me. I know through problems that Cajun's a good company. So, and for $100, $150, how can you not love a handmade carbon fiber rod? I mean, it's one of the most affordable American-made rods you could possibly get. So I just love their stuff. I wish they made an extra heavy. They don't. But c'est la vie. I'm going to interview Mike, the owner, on my channel. We haven't been able to coincide our schedules yet. So, but anyway, thanks, guys. I wanted to get in rod building, but no. I thought about it because I wanted to get an ultralight rod for my Aldebaran. So I contacted Cajun and I asked them, okay, this is what I want. Can you do it? And so they said, yeah. So they made me a rod. It's not even available online. They made me a rod for what I didn't have to make a rod. When I have a company like Cajun, you could call them up and ask them for something specific, and they will make it for you. And in 2 weeks, they will get it to you from start to finish. Why do you have to make a rod when you got a company that can do it? It'll cost you $300 or $400 just to set up a rod making area, and let alone a great blank. You got to get a good blank, but they make their own blanks. They make them out of pure carbon fiber. So what can you do? I mean, that's what you do. I am thinking about making soft plastics, and that will require about $800 outgo for the system I want. And that requires a lot of auctions, a lot of support. But if you go to my channel, Terrible at Fishing, and if you do become a member, you don't have to, but if you do, you'll get a coupon for my auctions. And I will make sure not only will you love the magazine that I write, but you will also love having a discount on my auctions. So we'll make sure that your $5, which isn't much because I don't want people to feel inconvenienced, but you're definitely going to get a good value. So, but anyway, I'm going to leave it at this. I mean, we made quite a few spinners, and you got to see my little Netcraft gizmo work. Again, here, if you want to get one of these little tools, there's the information. They're like $35. You can't go wrong. You'll be making spinners like crazy. 60 mold pots, pouring plastics. $30. That's awesome. Yeah, I need to look for stuff like that, but there's a technique that I really, really like. And the guy's in the Ukraine, believe it or not, and he makes these. So $30, man, I would have jumped on that. All right, guys, thanks for coming in and checking me out. I really, really appreciate it. And bookmark me on my 25th show. Follow me, and we'll make sure the 25th show looks really good for you. I'm working really hard on making baits. So take care, everybody. I'm going to figure out how to. I never quite know how to end these things. Back before you leave for the day, I'm bookmarking. Yeah, just DM me. Could you give me a text back? So yeah, I can. I don't know what that is. Okay, you did DM me. All right. Okay. I'm still working on how to use Whatnot. Yeah, you're on here still. Let's see here. Can I do this? I don't know if I can do this. Okay, that's my email. I check my emails several times a day, and that's my email. terribleatfishing2019@gmail.com. Was it you? It's big that wanted the airbrushes I'm not using. Somebody else did, and maybe you. I don't know. It's probably the airbrushes. So send me an email. I know how to work that. I'm old. I'm turning 60. I'm turning 60. It's getting old. I'm getting a 6. I know. It's wrong. I'm not supposed to be. I know. That's what you guys say. But my 50s suck. But we'll definitely. Let's see. Where we got? We got Robert. Looking. All right. I'll figure this out. I'll figure out what. Is this my messages button here? Your message. Oh, yeah. There you are. Oh, yeah. All right. Yeah. I know how to do this now. All right. I'll reply to you, buddy. You too, brother.